I feel like vocals are to music what portraits are to painting. They are the humanity. Landscapes are good and fine, but at the end of the day, everyone loves the Mona Lisa. So, yes, today we are going to talk about the Mona Lisa. Hello, everyone, this is me, Debosmita Sarkar. So, let's go forward. Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa or the La Gioconda or Mona Lisa is a half-length portrait painting by Italian artist Leonardo da Vinci, considered an archetypal masterpiece of the Italian Renaissance. It has been described as the best known, the most visited, the most written about, the most sung about, the most parodied work of art in the world. The painting's novel qualities include the subject's enigmatic expression, the monumentality of the composition, the subtle modeling of forms, and the atmospheric illusionism. Title and subject. The title of the painting, which is known as in English as Mona Lisa, comes from a description by Renaissance art historian Giorgio Vasari, who wrote Leonardo undertook to paint for Francesco de Giocondo the portrait of Mona Lisa, his wife. Mona in Italian is a polite form of address originating as Madonna, similar to ma'am, madam, or my lady in English. This became Madonna and its contraction Mona. The title of the painting, though traditionally spelled Mona as used by Vasari, is also commonly spelled in modern Italian as Mona Lisa, Mona being a vulgarity in some Italian dialects, but this is rare in English. Vasari's account of Mona Lisa comes from his biography of Leonardo, published in 1550, 31 years after the artist's death. It has been long been the best known source of information on the provenance of the work and identity of the sector. Leonardo's assistant Salai, at his death in 1524, owned a portrait which in his personal paper was named La Giocondo, a painting bequeathed to him by Leonardo. These are writing. This is a margin note which is written by Agostino Vespucci, and it is been discovered in a book at Heidelberg University dated 1503. It states that Leonardo was working on a portrait of Lisa del Giocondo. Continuation. That Leonardo painted such a work and its date were confirmed in 2005 when a scholar at Heidelberg University discovered a marginal note in a 1477 printing of a volume by ancient Roman philosopher Cicero. Dated October 1503, the note was written by Leonardo's contemporary Agostino Vespucci. This note likens Leonardo to renowned Greek painter Apelles, who is mentioned in the text, and states that Leonardo was at that time working on a painting of Lisa del Giocondo. In response to the announcement of the discovery of the document, Vincent Delouvre, the Louvre representative, stated Leonardo da Vinci was painting in 1503 the portrait of a Florentine lady by the name of Lisa del Giocondo. About this, we are now certain. Unfortunately, we cannot be absolutely certain that this portrait of Lisa del Giocondo is the painting of the Louvre. This is the small description of the Mona Lisa. Here it is the detail of the background. In the right side here it is the detail of the Mona Lisa's hand. So let's read about it. The Mona Lisa bears a strong resemblance to many Renaissance depiction of the Virgin Mary, who was at that time seen as an ideal for womanhood. The woman sits markedly upright in a posato armchair with her arm folded, a sign of a reserved posture. Her gaze is fixed on the observer. The woman appears alive to and unusual extent which Leonardo achieved by his method of not drawing outlines, which is also known as fumato. The soft blending creates an ambiguous mood, mainly in two features, the corner of the mouth and the corner of the eyes. Let's see the painting. Here is the original painting. So let's see. So see here. We often have heard about that Mona Lisa's eyes and mouth is the most mysterious one. Sometimes for eyes, sometimes it look like she is angry, or sometimes it looks like she is upset, or sometimes it looks like she is happy. And her eyes, sometimes it looks like she is seeing you, sometimes it look like she's um, I think not single. I'm not sure about that, but yes, the most mysterious part of Mona Lisa is the background of this picture is the mysterious part of this painting, and with that, the mouth and the eyes are also the mysterious part of Mona Lisa. The depiction of the sitter in three-quarter profile is similar to late 15th century work by Lorenzo di Credi and Agnolo di Domenico del Mazzari. Zolliner notes that the sitter's general position can be traced back to Flemish models, and that in particular the vertical slices of columns at both sides of the panel had precedence in Flemish portraiture. Wood's Marsden cities Hans Memling's portrait of Benedetto Portrini in 1487 or Italian. We don't have to read so much. This is not the part of this one. Yeah, yeah. The enigmatic woman is portrayed seated in what appears to be an open loggia with dark pillar bases on either side. Behind her, a vast landscape recedes to icy mountain, winding path, and a distant bridge give only the slightest indication of human presence. Leonardo has chosen to place the horizon line not at the neck as he did with Ginevra de Benci, but on the level with the eyes, thus linking the figure with the landscape and emphasizing the mysterious nature of the painting. So here if we see that these are icy mountains, these are lane. See, it is not clearly visible, but yeah, here were two pillars also, but here it's not clearly visible. See, a lake is also there, a breach type is also there, means. And see, we usually put a what I will tell, put a line over here, but Leonardo Vinci didn't. Rather, he put a line like means a type of line over here to emphasize the painting. Mona Lisa has no clearly visible eyebrows or eyelashes. Some researchers claim it was common at this time for gentlewomen to pluck these eye hairs, as they were considered unsightly. In 2007, French engineer Pascal Cote announced that his ultra-high resolution scan of the painting provided evidence that Mona Lisa was originally painted with eyelashes and with visible eyebrows, but that these had gradually disappeared over time, perhaps as a result of overcleaning. Court discovered the painting had been reworked several times, with changes made to the size of the Mona Lisa's face and the direction of her gaze. He also found that in one layer the subject was depicted wearing numerous hairpins and her headdress adorned with pearls, which was later scrubbed out and overpainted. Here, the French engineer Pascal Cote told that most of the researchers has told that Mona Lisa didn't have any eyebrows or eyelashes, but in 2007 French engineer Pascal Cote told that yes, it had, but over time it had been cleaned. He also mentioned that here Mona Lisa had earpins in her hair and pearls over her dress, but due to overcleaning and due to overpainting, those were removed. There has been much speculation regarding the painting's model and landscape. For example, Leonardo probably painted his model faithfully, since her beauty is not seen as being among the best, even when measured by late Quattrocento 15th century or even 21st century standards. Some art historian Eastern art such as Yukio Yashiro argue that the landscape in the background of the picture was influenced by Chinese paintings, but this thesis has been contested for lack of clear evidence. Research in 2003 by Professor Margaret Livingstone of Harvard University said that Mona Lisa's smile disappears when observed with direct vision, known as foveal, because of the way the human eye possesses visual information. It is less suited to pick up shadows directly. However, peripheral vision can pick up shadows well. Research in 2008 by a geomorphology professor at Urbino University and an artist photographer revealed likenesses of Mona Lisa's landscape to some views in the Montefeltro region in the Italian provinces of Pesaro, Urbino, and Rimini. As I told at first only that the smile changes. So here Professor Margaret Livingstone had mentioned here in 2003. So let's see. Let's go to the next slide. Here we will get the history. I know nobody is interested in history, but this is very important to know about Mona Lisa, the whole about Mona Lisa, the creation and date, and all the history of Mona Lisa. Let's see. Of Leonardo da Vinci's work, the Mona Lisa is the only portrait whose authenticity has never been seriously questioned, and one of four works, the others being Saint Jerome in the Wilderness Adoration of the Magi and the Last Supper, whose attribution has avoided controversy. He had begun working on a portrait of Lisa del Giocondo, the model of Mona Lisa, by October 1503. It is believed by some that the Mona Lisa was begun in 1503 or 1504 in Florence, although the Louvre states that it was doubtless painted between 1503 and 1506. Art historian Martin Kemp says that there are some difficulties in confirming the date with certainty. Alessandro Vezzorisi believed that the painting is characteristic of Leonardo's style in the final years of his life post 1513. Other academics argue that even given the historical documentation, Leonardo would have painted the work from 1503. According to Vasari, after he had lingered it over it 4 years, he left it unfinished. In 1516, Leonardo was invited to King Francis I to work at the Closelu near the Cato di Ambos. It is believed that he took the Mona Lisa with him and continued to work on it after he moved to France. Art historian Carmen C. Bambach had concluded that Leonardo probably continued refining the work until 1516 to 1517. Leonardo's right hand was paralytic circa 1517, which may indicate why he left the Mona Lisa unfinished. So in many videos in YouTube went mentioned about King Francis, but here it is mentioned that in 1516 Leonardo took Mona Lisa to, it is believed that he took Mona Lisa to France as he was been called by King Francis I for a work at Clos-Luche near the Cato di Ambos. It is also believed that Mona Lisa is not yet finished because for Leonardo's right hand was paralytic circa in 1517. Let's see the painting once again. It is believed that still now it's Mona Lisa is not finished, but I don't think so. Let's see. We will read further and we will know more about it. The circa 1505, Raphael executed a pen and ink sketch in which the column flanking the subjects are more apparent. Experts universally agree that it is based on Leonardo's portrait. Other later copies of the Mona Lisa, such as those in National Museum of Art, Architecture and Design and the Walters Art Museum, also display large flanking columns. As a result, it was thought that the Mona Lisa had been trimmed. However, By 1993, Frank Jolene observed that the painting surface had never been trimmed. That this was confirmed through a series of tests in 2004. The view of this Vincent de Leuven, curator of 16th century Italian painting at the Louvre, says that the sketch and these other copies must have been inspired by another version, while Solina states the sketch may be after another Leonardo painting, a portrait of the same subject. Here it is the painting of the Raphael's. It is the painting of Raphael, which was executed by pen and ink. It's not totally. It's like a sketch, a rough sketch, and she drew it after Leonardo. The record of an October 57 visited by Louis de Aragon states that the Mona Lisa was executed for the decreased Giuliano de Medici, Leonardo statue at the Belvedere Palace between 1503 and 1506, but this was likely an error. According to Vasari, the painting was created for the model's husband, Francesco del Giocondo. A number of experts have argued that Leonardo made two versions because of the uncertainty concerning its dating and commission, as well as its fate following Leonardo's death in 1519, and the difference of details in Raphael's sketch, which may be explained by the possibility that he made the sketch from memory. The hypothetical first portrait displaying prominent column would have been commissioned by Giocondo circa in 1503 and left unfinished in Leonardo's pupil and assistant Salai's possession until his death in 1524. The second, commissioned by Giuliano de Medici circa 1513, would have been sold by Salai to Francis in one in 1580 and is the one in the Louvre today. Others believe that there was only the one true Mona Lisa, but are divided as two aforementioned faiths. At some point in the 16th century, varnish was applied to the painting. It was kept at the Palace of Fontainebleau until Louis XIV moved it to Palace of Versailles, where it remained until the French Revolution. In 1797, it went on permanent display at the Louvre. Here it is also mentioned that Salai has sold have been sold the painting to Francis I in 1518. It was also mentioned. Refuge, theft, and vandalism. After the French Revolution, a painting was moved to Louvre, but wait a second, but spent a brief period in the bedroom of Napoleon in the Tuileries Palace. The Mona Lisa was not widely known outside the Earth world, but in the 1860s, a portion of the French intelligentsia began to hail it as a masterwork of Renaissance painting. During the Franco-Prussian War from 1870 to 1871, the painting was moved from Louvre to the Brest Arsenal. In 1911, the painting was still not popular among the lay public. On 21st August 1911, the painting was stolen from the Louvre. The painting was first next day by painter Louis Baron but after some confusion as to whether the painting was being photographed somewhere. The Louvre was closed for a week for investigation. French poet Guillaume Apollinaire came under suspicion and was arrested and imprisoned. Apollinaire implicated his friend Pablo Picasso, who was brought in for questioning. Both were later exonerated. The real culprit was Louvre employee Vincenzo Perugio, who had helped construct the painting's glass case. He carried out the theft by entering the building during regular hours, hiding in the broom closet, and walking out with the painting hidden under his coat after the museum had closed. Perugio was an Italian patriot who had believed that Leonardo's painting should have been returned to an Italian museum. Prague may have been motivated by an associate whose copies of the original would significantly rise in value after the painting's theft. After having kept the Mona Lisa in his apartment for 2 years, Prague grew impatient and was caught when he attempted to sell it to Goviana Poggi, director of the Uffizi Gallery in Florence. It was exhibited in the Uffizi Gallery for over 2 weeks and returned to the Louvre on 4th January 1914. Perugia served 6 months in prison for the crime and was held for his patriotism in Italia. A year after the theft, Saturday Evening Post journalist Cari de Greco wrote that he met an alleged accomplice named Leonardo de Valferne who claimed to have masterminded the theft. Fogger Eve's squadron was to have created 6 copies of the painting to sell in the US by concealing the location of the original. Decla published his account of the theft in 1932. During the World War II, it was again removed from the Louvre and was taken first to the Cateau d'Amboise, then to the Lac d'Arbe and Cateau de Chambord, and then finally to the Ingress Museum in Montalban on 30th December 1956, Bolivian. I don't think everyone have to know all this. Hopefully, I don't think this. Yeah. So let's proceed. It is very tedious to read everything. Modern analysis. In the early 21st century, French scientist Pascal could hypothesize a hidden portrait underneath the surface of the painting. He analyzed the painting in the Louvre with reflective light technology beginning in 2004 and produced circumstantial evidence for his theory. Court admits that his investigation was only carried out only in support of the hypothesis and should not be considered as a definitive proof. The underlying portrait appears to be a model of looking to the side and lacks flanking columns but does not fit with historical description of the painting. Both Vasily and Gian Paolo Lomaso describe the subject as smiling, unlike the subject in Coates' supposed portrait. In 2020, Coate published a study alleging that the canvas has underdrawing transferred from the preparatory drawing via the Spolvero technique. Conservation. The Mona Lisa has survived for more than 500 years, and an international commission convened in 1952 noted that the picture is in a remarkable state of preservation. It has never been fully restored, so the current condition is partly due to a variety of conservation treatments the painting has undergone. A detailed analysis in 1933 by Madame de Gironde revealed that the early restorers had acted with a great deal of restraint. Nevertheless, the application of varnish made to the painting had darkened even by the end of the 16th century, and an aggressive 89 cleaning and revarnishing removed uh, some of the uppermost portion of the paint layer, resulting in a washed out appearance to the face of the figure. Despite the treatment, the Mona Lisa has been well cared for throughout its history, and although the panel's uh, warping caused the curators some worries, 2004 to 2005 conservation team was optimistic about the future of the work. See, here is the Mona Lisa, and everyone is seeing it. Just see the crowd. Oh my god. Popular panel. At some point, the Mona Lisa was removed from its original frame. The unconstrained popular panel warped freely with changes in humidity, and as a result, the crack developed near the top of the panel, extending down to the hairline of the figure. In the mid 18th century to early 19th century, two butterfly-shaped walnut braces were inserted into the back of the panel to a depth of about one-third the thickness of the panel. This intervention was skillfully executed and successfully stabilized the crack sometime between 1888 and 1995, or perhaps during the picture's theft. The upper brace fell out, or later restored or glued and lined the resulting socket and crack with cloth. The picture is kept under strict climate control conditions in bulletproof glass. The humidity is maintained at 50% plus 10%, and the temperature is maintained between 18 and 21 degree to compensate for fluctuation in relative humidity. The case is supplemented with a bed of silica gel treated to provide 55% relative humidity. Frame. Because the Mona Lisa is popular, I think you all should read it because it's taking much time. I think you can pause the video and read it. Let me give you some time. Okay, so let's proceed. I think you can pause the video and see and read it. Reading is very important nowadays. Cleaning and touch up. The first and most extensive recorded cleaning, revarnishing, and touch up of the Mona Lisa was an 1809 wash and revarnishing undertaken by Jean Marie Huxtol, who was responsible for restoring of paintings for the galleries of the Musée Napoleon. The work involved cleaning with spirits, touch up of color, and varnishing the painting. In addition, the Louvre restorer Eugene Denizard performed watercolor retouches on areas of the paint that disturbed by the crack in the panel. Denizard also retouched the edges of the picture with varnish to mask areas that had been covered initially by an older frame. Let's proceed. Display on 6th April 2005, following a period of curatorial maintenance. According to an analysis, the painting was moved to a new location within the museum cell. It is displayed in a purpose-built climate control enclosure behind the bulletproof glass. Since 2005, the painting has been illuminated by an LED lamp, and in 2013, a new 20-watt LED lamp was installed, especially designed for this painting. The lamp was a color rendering index up to 90 and minimizes infrared and ultraviolet radiation, which can otherwise degrade the painting. The renovation of the gallery where the painting now resides was financed by the Japanese broadcaster Nippon Television. As of 2019, about 10.2 million people view the painting at the Louvre each year. On the 500th anniversary of the Master's Day, the Louvre held the largest ever single exhibit of Leonardo works from 24th October 2019 to 24th February 2020. The Mona Lisa was not included because it is in such great demand among visitors to the museum. The painting remained on display on its gallery. In its gallery. Sorry, see, this is a painting. This is the Mona Lisa. See, the painting is behind the bulletproof glass at the Louvre Museum, and in 6 feet, where the visitors have to see such a protective painting. This is the legacy. The Mona Lisa began influencing contemporary Florentine painting even before its completion. Rachel, who had been to Leonardo's workshop several times, promptly used elements of the portrait's composition and format in several of his work, such as Young Woman with Unicorn and Portrait of Maddalena Doni in 1556. Later, paintings by Raphael, such as La Villata in 1515 to 1516, and Portrait of Bec Castiglione 1514 to 1520. Continue to borrow some Leonard's painting. In the last, this the first picture is Raphael's young woman with unicorn. Then is Raphael's portrait of Bedesser Castlegon. Then is the Lerir, the which means the laugh by Eugen Bettel of Sapeg 1883. Then is the Jane Mediciner of 1911, and then is the Margaret and Anguille as Mona Lisa by Robert Henry. Let's you all read it because reading is very important and you should know about Mona Lisa all. Okay, let's proceed. This is the frame. Today, the Mona Lisa is considered the most famous painting of the world. A destination painting, but still, until the 20th century, it was simply one among the many highly regarded artwork. Once part of King Francis I of France collection, the Mona Lisa was among the first artwork to be exhibited on the Louvre, which became a national museum after the French Revolution. It began to be revered as a genius, and the painting's popularity grew in the mid 19th century when French intelligentsia praised it as a mysterious and representative of the femme fatale. Let us read the financial worth. Yeah. Before 1962-1963 tour, the painting was assessed for insurance at $100 million, equivalent to $660 million in 2019, making it in practice the most highly valued painting in the world. The insurance was not purchased, instead more was spent on security. In 2014, France 24 articles says that the painting could be sold to help ease the national debt, although it was observed that the Mona Lisa and other such artwork were prohibited from being sold due to French heritage law, which states that collection held in museums that belong to public bodies are considered public property and cannot be otherwise. Early version and copies, there were many copy of Mona Lisa. We already know it, so let's proceed. There were many copy, but nobody had done as nicely as Leonardo da Vinci. So thank you. Please do like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to comment in the comment section below. Thank you. Please do like. Thank you. Bye bye. Stay home and stay safe. Bye.